You already know what the right choice is. That is the part nobody says out loud. Somewhere between your first real paycheck and right now, you looked at two roads and you chose the one that looked better from the outside. The nicer apartment, the newer car, the dinners, the trips, the wardrobe. And every single time, you had a reason. A good reason. A completely reasonable reason. But here's the thing nobody told you clearly. Every time you picked the look of wealth over the engine of it, you did not just spend money. You sold time. Specifically, you sold years of your life that you will have to spend working for someone else because the money that should have been compounding for you was busy making you look like you had already made it. There is a number, a specific portfolio threshold, where your money generates more income than your job. Where you work because you want to, not because you have to. That number is not as far as you think, but the path to it requires you to make one decision, consistently, that most people around you are not making. Stay with me, because what you are about to see is going to change how you read your bank statement for the rest of your life. My name is Randy, and the story you have been telling yourself goes something like this. I work hard. I deserve to enjoy my money. Life is short. I will invest more when I make more. I will cut back when things settle down. But right now this is my life and I'm going to live it. That story is not wrong. It is just incomplete. Here is what it leaves out. The average American household spends $1,497 per month on non-essential lifestyle expenses. Dining out, subscription services, upgraded vehicles, clothing beyond basics, personal care beyond necessity. That is according to the 2024 Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey. $17,964 a year. On things that are gone the moment they are consumed. No equity, no compounding, no residual value, just a receipt and a memory. And here's what makes that number strange. Most people who spend that $17,964 a year are not reckless. They are not irresponsible. They are doing exactly what everyone around them is doing, which is spending money in the way their environment expects them to spend it. The car that matches the neighborhood, the apartment that matches the salary, the lifestyle that signals to everyone watching that things are going well. But here's the part nobody ever explains clearly. The decision between luxury and freedom is not a values question. It is not a discipline question. It is a math question. And the math is so lopsided, so dramatically one-sided, that once you see it written out, you cannot argue with it. The question is not whether you deserve nice things. The question is whether you have ever actually seen what those nice things cost. Not at the register, not per month, but across 30 years. Because that is where the real price tag is hiding. Let me show you two people who are going to make this real. This is Nathan. He is 27 years old. He lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. He makes $72,000 a year as a logistics coordinator. He has $9,000 saved. Nathan got the promotion last year, and he felt like things were finally clicking. He upgraded his apartment from $1,100 a month to $1,650. He is leasing a 2024 midsize sedan for $487 a month. He eats out 4 or 5 times a week, takes one good vacation a year, updates his wardrobe every season. He puts 4% into his 401k, the minimum to capture the employer match, and he tells himself he will bump it up when he gets his next raise. Nathan is not reckless. Nathan is completely normal. He is doing what everyone in his friend group does, what every advertisement tells him to do, what every version of adult success he has ever seen looks like. This is Calvin. He is also 27. He also lives in Charlotte. He also makes $72,000 a year. He and Nathan were in the same training cohort at their company 2 years ago. Calvin has $9,000 saved too. Calvin drives a 2017 Honda Civic he bought outright for $11,400. His apartment costs $1,100 a month. He maxes out his Roth IRA every year at $7,000. He puts 11% into his 401k. He goes out, takes trips, lives his life, but his monthly spending runs about $900 lower than Nathan's. Same city, same salary, same starting savings, same year. One decision separates them. And in 15 years, you will not recognize the difference between their lives. Let me put real numbers to this. Nathan is spending $487 a month on a vehicle lease. Calvin is spending roughly $180 a month on insurance and maintenance for his paid-off Civic. That is a $307 difference per month, $3,684 per year. Run that through an investment calculator at 9% average annual return, the S&P 500's long-run historical average, for 30 years. That single decision, the lease versus the paid-off car, is worth $503,000 at retirement, not $50,000, not $100,000. $503,000 from the car alone. And that is just the car. Nathan upgraded his apartment by $550 a month. Calvin stayed at $1,100, that is $6,600 per year. At 9% over 30 years, the apartment upgrade alone costs $285,000 in future portfolio value. Nathan is not renting a nicer apartment, he is selling $285,000 of his future. Now let's look at the real number. The 401k contribution. Nathan contributes 4% of $72,000, which is $2,880 per year. Calvin contributes 11%, which is $7,920 per year. Their employer matches 4% for both, that is $2,880 added to each of them. Nathan is putting in $5,760 total per year. Calvin is putting in $10,800 total per year. Run both forward at 9% for 30 years. Nathan ends up with approximately $857,000. Calvin ends up with approximately $1,603,000. The gap between two people with the exact same salary, the exact same employer, and the exact same starting conditions, from the contribution rate alone, is $746,000. Here is the part that should make you angry. Calvin is not giving up his whole paycheck to create that gap. The difference between 4% and 11% on a $72,000 salary is $5,040 per year. $420 per month before taxes. After the pre-tax benefit of a traditional 401k, the actual take-home reduction is closer to $294 per month. Calvin is redirecting $294 per month in take-home pay to build $746,000 more in retirement wealth. That is roughly $2,500 of future wealth for every single dollar Calvin does not spend today. Nothing in the luxury market comes close to that math. Now let's look at this across multiple time horizons, because one snapshot never shows you the full picture. At 5 years, Nathan has approximately $33,900 in his 401k. Calvin has approximately $63,300. The gap is $29,400. It does not feel catastrophic yet. At 10 years, Nathan has approximately $90,000. Calvin has approximately $168,400. The gap is now $78,400. It is accelerating. At 20 years, Nathan has approximately $323,000. Calvin has approximately $604,000. The gap is $281,000. This is where people start to feel it in their chest. At 30 years, Nathan has $857,000. Calvin has $1,603,000. The gap is $746,000. From the contribution rate alone. Now combine that with the car and the apartment. Calvin's total monthly advantage over Nathan is roughly $1,227. $307 from the car, $550 from the apartment, and $370 net after taxes from the 401k bump. Invested at 9% over 30 years, $1,227 per month becomes approximately $2,043,000. $2 million. Same salary, same city, same starting savings at 27. The only variable is where the money went every single month. Now here is the threshold number I promised you at the start. There is a point called the financial independence number. It is the portfolio value at which your investments generate enough passive income to cover your living expenses without you having to work. The formula is your annual expenses multiplied by 25. This is based on the 4% safe withdrawal rate established by the Trinity study. If Calvin keeps his monthly expenses at $3,500 as his income grows, which is comfortable, not austere, his financial independence number is $1,050,000. Calvin crosses that threshold in his early 50s. Nathan, on his current trajectory, reaches that number around 64. Calvin buys himself over a decade of optional work, a decade of his kids growing up, a decade of choosing his own schedule. That is what the car lease and the apartment upgrade actually cost. Here's what most people do not understand about this choice. It is not one decision. It is hundreds of small permissions you give yourself every month, each one completely reasonable on its own, each one devastating in aggregate. The apartment upgrade feels rational. You are earning more. You deserve a nicer place. The lease feels rational. It is a manageable monthly payment. The restaurant spending feels rational. You are busy, you work hard, you need to unwind. Every single choice is defensible in isolation. And that is exactly what makes it so expensive. Because you never feel like you're making the wrong move. You feel like you are living your life. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you a specific 5-step framework that tells you exactly how to restructure your numbers, regardless of where you are starting today. But first, there is one uncomfortable truth I need to land, because it is the thing nobody ever says clearly enough. Lifestyle inflation is not a spending problem. It is an identity problem. When your lifestyle expands to match your income, you are not just spending more money. You are deciding who you are. You are telling yourself and everyone watching that you are the person who drives that car, lives in that apartment, and takes that vacation. And once you make that identity decision, pulling back does not feel like saving money. It feels like giving something up about yourself. It feels like going backward. That is why the advice to just spend less almost never works long term. Because to spend less, you first have to want to be a different version of yourself. The people who consistently choose financial freedom over luxury, and there are real studied communities of them, they do not think of themselves as people who sacrifice. They think of themselves as people who are playing a different game. A longer game. A game where the scoreboard is not updated by what you drive or where you live, but by what your money does while you sleep. And the most important thing about that game is this. Most people never find out it exists until the early decisions that create the biggest compounding results are already behind them. You are watching this video. That means you still have time to make the early move. So what do you actually do starting right now? Here's the framework. 5 moves, specific numbers on every one. Move 1. Calculate your lifestyle tax. Pull up your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Add up every dollar that is not rent, utilities, groceries, basic transportation, and debt payments. That total, everything else, is your lifestyle tax. For the average American household, it is $1,497 per month. For higher earners in their 30s, it frequently runs $2,500 to $4,000. Write your number down. Now multiply it by 12 to get the annual figure. Now run that annual figure forward 30 years at 9%. That is the true price of your current lifestyle, not the monthly cost, the retirement cost. If your lifestyle tax is $2,000 a month, the true retirement cost is $3,300,000. I want you to feel that number before you spend another dollar on something optional. Move 2. Fix the vehicle decision first. The vehicle is the single highest leverage decision most people can make right now. A lease or a financed luxury vehicle typically costs $600 to $900 per month all in when you include the payment, insurance, and maintenance. A reliable used vehicle, 3 to 6 years old, purchased in cash or with a short 12-month loan, typically runs $150 to $250 per month all in. The monthly gap is $400 to $650. Invested in a total market index fund at 9% over 25 years, that gap is worth between $420,000 and $683,000. The car you drive to work is not a statement about your ambition. It is a statement about which game you have decided to play. Move 3. Close the contribution gap this week. Here is the math most people have never seen spelled out. If you make $60,000 a year and contribute 6% with a 4% employer match, you are putting in $6,000 annually. If you raise your contribution to 12%, you put in $9,600, an increase of $3,600 per year, or $300 per month. After the pre-tax benefit of a traditional 401k, your take-home only drops by approximately $210 per month. $210. That is roughly 7 restaurant dinners. That $210 monthly reduction, invested over 25 years at 9%, becomes $256,000. If you genuinely cannot find $210 to redirect, find $75. Even $75 per month above your current rate becomes $91,000 over 25 years. There is no amount too small. There is only the amount you start with today. Move 4. Apply the 1/3 rule to every single raise. Every time your income increases, raise, bonus, side income, freelance check, anything, split the extra money into thirds. 1/3 goes to lifestyle upgrades. You earned it, enjoy it. 1/3 goes toward debt paydown or your emergency fund until those are handled, then into a taxable brokerage. 1/3 goes toward increasing your 401k or Roth IRA contribution rate. This rule does 2 things. It prevents lifestyle lock-in, because you are never saying no to all of the raise, just 2/3 of it. And it guarantees that your investment rate grows automatically with your income. On a $75,000 salary, applying this rule consistently for 10 years as your income grows from annual raises means your contribution rate naturally climbs from 6% toward 18%. You will barely notice it going in. You will absolutely notice it at 50. Move 5. Do a subscription audit every 90 days. A 2024 survey by the financial technology company Rocket Money found that the average American spends $219 per month on subscription services. And 42% of those subscriptions were ones they had forgotten they were paying for. Set a calendar reminder every 3 months. Cancel anything you have not actively used in the last 30 days. The goal is not to eliminate subscriptions. The goal is to stop paying for the ones you forgot you had. The average household that does a thorough audit recovers between $80 and $140 per month. At 9% over 20 years, $110 per month is $76,000. There is $76,000 in retirement wealth sitting in forgotten streaming services and gym memberships you have not used since February. Here is the number that ties all 5 moves together. If you are 28 years old and you redirect $1,000 per month, a realistic combination of vehicle savings, contribution increases, and lifestyle tax reduction, into a low-cost total market index fund at 9% average annual return, by age 58, you will have approximately $1,830,000. Your financial independence number at $4,000 per month in expenses is $1,200,000. You cross that threshold before 55. You retire optionally, meaning you work if you want to, on your terms, on projects that matter to you, before most of your coworkers are even thinking about it. The question is not whether you can afford to redirect that $1,000. The question is whether you have seen clearly enough what it costs you not to. Let's go back to Nathan and Calvin. 15 years have passed. Both men are 42. Nathan has $403,000 in his 401k. He is still leasing vehicles. His apartment is now $2,100 a month. He is making $97,000 a year. He has gotten raises. He has been promoted. He is doing well by every normal measure. But his expenses have tracked his income the entire way up. His financial independence number at his current spending rate is $1,650,000, and he is $1,247,000 away from it. His realistic retirement date is 68. Nathan will work for the next 26 years because he has to, because every raise got spent on the life that matched it. Calvin is 42. He has $812,000 in his portfolio across his 401k and Roth IRA. His financial independence number at his spending level is $1,050,000. He is $238,000 away from it. At his current contribution rate and growth trajectory, Calvin crosses his independence threshold in approximately 3 years. At 45, Calvin's work becomes optional. He keeps working because he actually likes what he does, but the entire dynamic of his life shifts. He can take the lower stress role. He can say no to the bad manager. He can start something on the side. He can take a month off. He has the one thing money actually purchases at the highest level: the ability to choose. Same salary at 27, same city, same starting savings, same employer. The only variable was the decision you make every single month about where the money goes. Here is what you now know that you did not know before you pressed play. The gap between financial freedom and financial imprisonment is not your income. It is not your zip code. It is not your family background or your degree or the industry you are in. It is a monthly delta. The difference between what you spend on the visible version of success and what you route toward the invisible engine of it. The people who figure this out early do not look wealthy. They look normal, unremarkable even. Same neighborhood, similar car. They are not suffering. And then one day, somewhere in their 40s, they start making decisions that nobody around them can explain. They leave the job that paid them well. They move somewhere they actually want to be. They say no to things that used to feel mandatory. Everyone around them assumes they got lucky or came into money. They did not get lucky. They got intentional. For a decade. On purpose. And now the money is working for them instead of the other way around. You already know what the right choice is. You knew it before you clicked on this video. The question is whether you are going to make it this week or keep waiting for the version of yourself who earns just a little more, who has just a little more breathing room, who will start for real next year. Next year is not a strategy. Today is. So here is my question for you. And I want your answer in the comments right now. What is your current 401k contribution percentage? And what would it take for you to raise it by 2 percentage points before the end of this week? Drop your number. I read every single one. If you enjoy videos about building real wealth and escaping financial stress, subscribe to Randy Talks Money, and I will see you in the next one.